Hi, I'm Mike Fossum from the STS-124 crew. You're watching NASA TV.
Good morning, Discovery, and a special good morning to you this morning, Mike.
Good morning, Shannon. There's a spirit can ne'er be told. That's the spirit of Aggieland. Texas A&M University is indeed a very special place. Thanks to my Aggie wife this morning for that wake-up music, to all my Aggie buds, and to the hundreds of thousands of Aggies on campus and around the world. It's going to be a great day.
That's true. It is a great day. And for your information, Mike, I was just informed that you are now 12th of all-time EVAs. So that's something that you can be pretty proud of.
Number 12. That's pretty cool. Soon to be broken, no doubt.
This is Mission Control Houston, and with that, Discovery begins Flight Day 10, waking up to the spirit of Aggieland. The song's performed by the Fightin' Texas Aggie Band, Mike Fossum's alma mater, Texas A&M University. Shannon Lucid also notifying him that Mike Fossum has literally become the 12th man. He now holds the record, number 12, for most spacewalking time. On the schedule for the crew this morning, they will be focusing their attention on the robotic arm on the outside of Kibo. They'll be fully deploying that arm for the first time. They'll also be working to open the hatch in between the logistics module and the Kibo laboratory itself. That'll be the first time that hatch has been opened since that logistics module was relocated on Friday. They'll also be working inside the Quest airlock to replace a battery charger module. They'll also be conducting the traditional joint crew news conference with media at the various NASA centers around the United States. They'll be speaking with the media in the U.S. and also in Japan.
A look out at the starboard solar arrays of the International Space Station and the starboard truss of the complex. The International Space Station now with a mass of almost 700,000 pounds and continuing to grow. Now a pan back looking at Harmony to the top of your screen, the Russian segment of the International Space Station. You can see at the top of your screen docked to the Zarya module of the International Space Station with its folded arrays no longer needed for the Russian segment power is the Progress 29 cargo ship that arrived at the station several weeks ago, delivering food, fuel, and supplies for the residents of the complex. The scissor-like solar arrays belong to the Jules Verne automated transfer vehicle. At the very top of your screen, docked to the Pirs docking compartment, is the Soyuz TMA-12 spacecraft that was launched on April 8th to deliver Expedition 17 Commander Sergei Volkov and flight engineer Oleg Kononenko, and which will be their ride home on October 23rd.
Station Tsukuba on Space Ground 2 for Aki.
Go ahead.
Okay, first we'd like you to push the clear button, which is left bottom, and try to re-input the target again.
Flight controllers at the Space Station Integration and Promotion Center in Tsukuba, Japan, at the Kibo Flight Control Room, are instructing Aki Hoshide in the Kibo laboratory at the robotic workstation on the initial procedures that he will use as he sends commands to unfold the 6 joints of the Japanese robotic arm, as it will be extended virtually to its full length of 33 feet in the first full-up exercise of that robotic capability. In the station flight control room, the robotics officer reports to Flight Director Bob Dempsey that the Japanese robotic arm is in motion as Aki Hoshide begins to send commands to slowly but surely unlimber all 6 joints on the arm. It will be extended virtually to its full length of 33 feet. Another view of the Japanese robotic arm that is currently being unfolded through the joint-by-joint commanding from the robotic workstation inside Kibo. Aki Hoshide at the controls. The data being received by the Japanese flight control team in Tsukuba.
And Tsukuba Station on Space Ground 1, GEM-RMS final deploy is complete.
Okay, Aki, we copy that. Final deploy complete. Great job.
All right, and we'll pick up in the maneuver store in a minute.
Okay, we copy that.
With the port solar arrays of the International Space Station serving as a golden backdrop, the end effector of the new Japanese robotic arm clearly in view as the milestone motion now complete. Final deployment of the Japanese robotic arm at the forward end of the Kibo laboratory confirmed by Aki Hoshide working from the robotic workstation inside the laboratory. The wrist joint of the new Japanese robotic arm is beginning to move once again, being commanded from the robotics workstation inside Kibo by Japanese astronaut Aki Hoshide as he begins the procedures for the final stowage of the arm. It was commanded to its deployed position. All 6 joints are being exercised for the first time. Good data being received back at the Japanese flight control room at the Space Station Integration and Promotion Center in Tsukuba, Japan.
GEM-RMS brakes checkout is complete.
Okay, we copy that. Brake checkout is complete. Ahead of schedule. Great job.
I copy that, thanks. And we're going to terminate the HRM warm-up at this time.
Yes, you can proceed.
As you heard from Aki Hoshide talking to Japanese flight controllers in Tsukuba, Japan, the checkout of the brakes on the 33-foot-long Japanese robotic arm has been completed. This checkout verified the health of the shoulder yaw joint, the shoulder pitch joint, and the elbow pitch joint that will keep the arm steady during times of its operational use. At this point, the final robotic activity for the day will be to close the hold and release mechanisms. These are essentially the latching mechanisms for the arm to avoid any snag hazard that may be posed for any future spacewalks outside the International Space Station in the vicinity of the Kibo module. So everything has gone exactly as planned today with the robotic work. Aki Hoshide leading the robotic workstation effort, along with Greg Shamatov and Karen Nyberg. The full deployment of the arm, then reversing course to stow the arm and then check the brakes out. One more task to be completed, the closing of the hold and release mechanisms to latch the arm in place in front of Kibo. And a good look at the end effector camera on the Japanese robotic arm. This view down the length of the Japanese robotic arm, actually showing a tab that is sticking up with a very, very small piece of thermal insulation that was noted by the Japanese flight control team at the Space Station Integration and Promotion Center in Tsukuba, Japan. This small piece of insulation that apparently popped up following the deployment of the arm when it was maneuvered today on command from the robotic workstation inside the Kibo module by Aki Hoshide, poses no issue. It is not a piece of thermal insulation from a sensitive portion of the robotic arm, and it will be dispositioned at a future date during a later spacewalk outside the International Space Station, not on this mission. Back in the Quest airlock, Discovery Commander Mark Kelly in the early stages of a lengthy procedure that he and Mike Fossum will be running through to change out 2 battery chargers, 2 out of the 4 in the Quest airlock that are used to recharge spacesuit batteries. The crew continues additional transfer work, moving items from Discovery into the International Space Station and vice versa. That transfer work to continue throughout the day tomorrow, leading to the final farewells between the 10 crew members and the closing of the hatches between Discovery and the International Space Station tomorrow afternoon. Undocking of Discovery from the complex scheduled at 6:42 a.m. Central Time Wednesday morning.
Just saw pilot Kinham disappear inside the now open logistics module attached to the Kibo laboratory. Mission specialist Aki Hoshide is working on setting up the storage racks that will be used inside the logistics module now that the 8 equipment racks it was launched with have been moved to the laboratory. Mission specialist Aki Hoshide has been talking with the Space Station Integration and Promotion Center in Tsukuba, Japan, going over some of the last few things to get the Kibo laboratory and the logistics module ready for Discovery's departure tomorrow. As you can see, the module, which was entirely empty when the hatches between it and the Harmony node were open, has been filling up fast. Today, Hoshide and mission specialist Karen Nyberg opened the hatches between the laboratory and the logistics module and set up some storage area inside that logistics module. The logistics module will serve as a storage area for the science experiments that are going to be done in Kibo.
Discovery Station, this is JSC PAO. How do you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Good afternoon. It's Mark Carreau from the Houston Chronicle, and my question is for Commander Kelly. Could you tell us how you assess the achievements of the mission so far and what the challenges that remain? Thank you.
We had 3 very successful spacewalks. EVA-3 yesterday went particularly very smooth, no problems, and we had got a lot of the get-aheads done, which are the things we weren't planning on doing. So that was great. We got the gem installed, we got the JLP relocated, we got the Japanese arm deployed and checked out. We've completed most of our transfer. So you know, what's remaining is we have some stuff to move back over to Discovery, and then we got to make sure Garrett's on the right side of the hatch.
Hi, it's Irene Klotz with Reuters. My question is for Greg. The previous missions have had a little shorter time than what you're scheduled for, and I'm just wondering if you have any trepidations about being up there for 6 months.
Well, this has been so much fun, and, you know, arriving on the station all together, it's been a big group the whole time. So, you know, and the station is huge, and there's plenty of room here for 10 people to work hard and do what we've done. And so I think when they leave, it's going to be very sad for me to see them go. And I think that one moment when we close the hatch, that's going to be the hard moment. And I think after that, I'm with you know, really good friends that I've spent years training with, and they've already been here for 2 months, so they know how to do it, and they'll show me the ropes.
Thank you. This is Tarek Malik with Space.com and Space News for Commanders Kelly and Volkov. This mission is leaving the space station quite a bit larger, and I was just curious if you could both kind of let us know how that weighs in terms of the comfort level of the station and its ability for science research. Thank you.
Of course, now the opportunity to do science research grew incredibly. Now we have additional science module, and we can do a lot much science on board the station. And it's great, and we are looking forward to this.
Echo that. You know, the Japanese laboratory is big, capable. It's pretty much ready to go. We're going to have obviously more racks come over the next few years. The JLP has been relocated right above us, which is sort of a stowage area for the JPM, and it's in great shape.
This is Frank Mooring with Aviation Week for Karen Nyberg. you've had a chance now to operate all three robotic arms there on the two spacecraft. Could you compare the functionality of the different arms and tell me if there's a standard protocol for all of them or if they operate a little bit differently? Thank you.
Actually, we just finished up working with the space station arm yesterday and the Japanese arm today, and then we'll finish up with the shuttle arm after we undock. They are very similar in the way they're built. They're different in size. Operationally, they work a little bit differently. The main thing to keep in mind is clearances with structure as you're operating it. But for the most part, they're pretty similar.
Hi, this is Noah Wise with ABC News. Our question concerns your sleeping habits. If you find that it was as you expected for the newer astronauts and also for those that are more veteran, do you, in your experience, are you finding that you dream in weightlessness now?
But I found that I sleep surprisingly well, or better than I thought I would. Let's put it that way. It's interesting because your head is not on a pillow, and you're kind of used to sleeping with a pillow, and so we've got a little Velcro strap that kind of straps your head to a pillow and kind of tricks your body into thinking that you're in a bed. I also we sleep in a sleeping bag, and what I've done is put bungees across my body to again push me down against the structure to kind of trick my brain into thinking that I'm in a bed, and that seems to help sleep. And as far as dreams go, I think the same as you have on Earth.
Question for Garrett, please. Besides Simone, could you tell us what you're looking forward to when you get back on the planet? What do you like? What do you hope to eat right away? What do you hope to see and do in terms of everyday planet life?
Well, as far as what I'm looking forward to eating most, of course, I would love to have a good slice of pizza. We don't really have much bread on board. We eat mostly tortillas because bread makes too many crumbs. So a nice big fat hamburger bun or something like that would be great. But the thing is, and that's what I think about. But the truth is that adjusting back to gravity is not so easy. Just like adjusting to weightlessness takes some time, adjusting to gravity takes some time too. So even though I have visions of stepping off the shuttle and chowing down on a giant T-bone steak or something, that's not going to happen. But eventually it will, and I'm looking forward to that day where I can enjoy my favorite foods and then do the things, some of the things I love to do that I haven't been able to do from up here.
Yeah, hi guys, it's Bill Harwood with CBS News with a question for Mike Fossum, if I could. I was interested in your description of the Port Sarge and the dust that you saw on the outer canted surface. I was unclear in my mind what that appeared like to you, and they tell me that the grease was expected, but the dust was kind of a mystery to me. And I was wondering if you could give me a little detail on that, what it looked like, and how that compared to, I realize it doesn't look like the starboard Sarge, but is there any similarity between what you saw in the port and the starboard? Thanks.
Yeah, good to talk to you, Bill. No, there's really no similarity because on the starboard side, the damage is extensive and apparent. The surface of the bearing surface itself is severely eroded. Maybe not very thick, but it's definitely a lot of damage there. On the port side, you really didn't see that at all. You saw a little bit of the grease that some expected it, some didn't, and it's really unclear that the particles over there, it's just a few fine, almost powder-like particles. On the starboard side, it's metallic particles that are clinging to things. You can see magnetic pattern kind of features in there, the way they cling to corners and things like that. On the port side, there's nothing like that. It's more like just a little bit of dust, maybe kind of like the dust you have on your brakes.
Hi, this is Sandra Frederick again. I'm with the InnerSpaceNews.com, and this is for Garrett.
When the Kibo ingress occurred, there was a gentleman with a black shirt with a number 55 on the back of it. As soon as everyone came into the module, this person jumped to the back, ran up the wall, across the ceiling, down the other side, and kind of skateboarded to the lower part of the module. I was wondering if you could identify him for me, and I wanted to know if that was part of the Skylab 500, maybe, that kind of part of the mission, spontaneous, or was it just for fun?
I can identify that person. It's Mike Fossum. And obviously, I've been looking forward to the arrival of the gem for quite a long time. I spent a long time training for it, and I saw it all emptied out on the ground in Florida, waiting to launch at KSC. So I knew its potential, and as soon as that hatch was open, I took advantage of it.
All right, this is Patrick Peterson with Florida Today with a question for Ron Guerin. Could you go over again your thoughts and feelings and the view that you had during the windshield wiper maneuver when you were so far out there, I guess, on a limb or on the space station arm, and what you might have seen? And also talk a little bit about what you learned about spacewalking during your 3 spacewalks. You and Mike Fossum seem to make a great team. You seem to be very competent and seem to get more competent as the mission goes on. Talk about that a little bit, too.
Sure thing. The windshield wiper maneuver was absolutely incredible, especially towards the top of the maneuver. As I looked down, I just saw this massive space station below me. It's just incredible how big it is and how awesome it is. But when I looked out, greater than 180 degrees, all I saw was the curvature of the Earth. And so what it appeared to me, as opposed to just looking down and seeing the Earth, I was looking and seeing a planet just hanging out there in the blackness of space, and it was just absolutely incredible just to see the views and the sunrises and the sunsets from that vantage point. To be out there and to see that wide of an angle and that much of the curvature of the Earth was just really, really incredible. And as far as the spacewalks go, I think what I learned is our training is really, really good. We have a number of different methods that we use to train for it. We have virtual reality simulators, and we have the Neutral Buoyancy Lab, which is basically, as you probably know, the underwater laboratory that we use with the full mock-ups of the space station. And so we go, painstakingly through each maneuver, each activity that we're going to do over and over and again until we feel very comfortable with it. And even some of the get-aheads, at least we talk about them and we think about, okay, if we get to this point, how are we going to accomplish that? And so, it becomes second nature after a while.
I'm Yamada from Yomiuri. Mr. Hoshige, thank you for your good efforts, and you look very well, and I'm very glad about it. And this mission pretty much completed the assembly of Kibo. And what is your impression, general impression about it? Well, we started the setup of JPM, and then we activated, and we also transferred JLP. So currently JLP is right above me, and hatch is open and light is on. So as far as JPM is concerned, most of the work is completed. If you look outside, robotic arm, we completed the work related to robotic arm. Well, there are the 10 of us here, and there was the cooperation from everyone, and also cooperation from mission control, that we were able to do that. And the crews, and all of them are very, very helpful, and they are always willing to help. So that's the reason why that we finished all the work earlier than scheduled. I'm Ando from Nikkei. I would like to ask a question to Mr. Hoshide. How did you feel at the time of launch? And when did you feel that you arrived in space? Well, at the time of launch and also at the time of landing, I will be sitting in mid-deck, and then there's no window, so I do not know what's going on outside. However, at the time of launch, I felt like I got the forward pressure, and at that time I felt like I was going to space. And when engine was cut off, I started to float. And I'm Matsuda from Gigi. So how does space look like? And is it any different or any similar to what you imagined when you were a child? That space change your outlook of life? Well, it's really the more than words can express. This joy of zero gravity, and as I got used to this, I was able to float around move very freely. At the time of docking, I saw the space station firsthand. Of course, the shape was beautiful, and I really felt that it looked very powerful. And space station really looked beautiful. It's hard to imagine that's a man-made structure and it's floating in space. And I really felt proud that humankind was able to build such a beautiful structure.
Discovery Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Discovery and Station and media located at JSC Centers. You are now resuming operational space-to-ground communications.